Alrighty, welcome to episode 174 of Tokwa's Ask Us Anything. As usual, it's been a pretty busy news week. Tesla has opened over 15,000 supercharger stores in North America to Ford's stable of EVs. Ford's F-150 Lightning and Mustang Mach-E owners will be able to order a wholly Tesla designed and manufactured NACS to CCS adapter at no cost and use it to seamlessly access eligible supercharger locations without requiring any app or token authentication. A left-wing extremist organisation named the Vulcan Group has halted Giga Berlin vehicle production by way of an arson attack on a nearby power transmission tower feed. The group stated that, quote, "We sabotage Tesla today because Tesla in Grunau eats up Earth, resources, people, labour and spits out 6,000 SUVs, killing machines and monster trucks per week. Our gift on March 8th is to shut down Tesla. Because the complete destruction of the Gigafactory and with it the soaring off of techno-fascists like Elon Musk's are a step on the path to liberation from patriarchy." In a scathing submission to the federal government's inquiry into its proposed new vehicle efficiency standard, Tesla has outed the Federal Chamber of Automotive Industries as having blatantly lied in its submission. Tesla submitted that the FCAI had lied in the bulk of its submission and that it intended to deliberately mislead the government in actually raising average vehicle emissions rather than lowering them. Tesla's submission stated that, quote, "Tesla is both a member of the FCAI and represented on its board, so it's important that Tesla makes clear its disagreement with the submission made by the FCAI to this review and with false claims it has made in the public discussion of vehicle standards." The WA state government has released a new position statement on electric vehicle charging infrastructure. This wide-ranging statement comprehensively outlines how EV charging infrastructure should be considered and assessed in the West Australian planning system. And that was this week's news. Indeed it was, and apologies, I've just got to go and reset my view. 2 seconds. There we go. Come on. We're getting there. It's going to be one of those nights. The reason why, and welcome everyone, actually what I'll do, as I promised, was if there is anyone who is new and is comfortable in doing so, please unmute yourselves in the next couple of seconds and say hello.
Name's Jeff, new to the Tesla family. Put my order
Jeff?
in about 3 weeks ago and picked up my Model Y long range 2024 on Thursday and have been absolutely loving it. Been taking all my mates out for quick spins and their faces when you put the foot down and you just get that tummy feeling from the acceleration. Every single one of them has just been loving it. So
did you say you? Sorry, did you say you ordered it 3 weeks ago?
Yeah, that's correct. A family car crapped itself through a misfire. So the wife and I went car shopping and went to the Tesla showroom in Osborne Park in WA. We were originally thinking of getting a Model 3, and then we saw the Model Y in real life and loved the boot space and the height and stuff. So we took that for a test drive instead. And we're like, yep, sweet, cool. And then they sent us a link with their inventories, and they had the blue with the 20-inch rims on it that I wanted in the long range variant in inventory. So we just, order in and away we went.
Yeah, because blue is the right color. You know, it just is.
It's fantastic, isn't it?
Thanks for joining us, Ken. I think you'll be leaving us now. So Jeff, it's almost specifically outrageous that you could get yourself into a Tesla in 3 weeks when many others have been waiting for years.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
I joined a Facebook, like a Tesla Y owners club on Facebook, and there's been people saying they've been waiting 6 to 9 months, and I've been seeing a lot about like a shipment that starts with G that's got some problem with stink bugs or something, like, and all sorts of issues. I'm like, oh, glad I missed all that, but was all sort of away from the news on all that and just happened to hit the jackpot, so to speak.
Well, you certainly have, and you've made a great choice. And once again, congratulations. And obviously, feel free to ask us any questions right after we do some more intros.
For sure.
Okay, let's go for a daily double. Is there anyone else that is new that would like to unmute and introduce yourselves in the next few seconds?
Hi everyone, this is Nazil here. I picked up my Model Y in December last year. December, 3 months ago now. I disagree with the blue color. We did not like blue and we went with the gray. We love the Tesla. Otherwise, it's the same story. We went there to test our Model 3, but we loved Model Y and settled with that on a short note. I got the car, I think, in less than 2 weeks in December, and there were lots of great gray Teslas there. One reason why I got mine so quick.
Fantastic. So that's even less. Oh, this is just getting out, right? This is like the get your Tesla in less than 3 weeks show. It's terrible. But no, congratulations. That's fantastic. And no doubt you've been enjoying your awesome car.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Well, like I said earlier, if you got any questions, please do just pose any questions that you can think of. Okay, let's go straight. For the sake of it, let's go for a triple. I'm sure I'm going to get 3 strikes and out, but let's go for one more person. If you'd like to introduce yourself, please do so. Oh, Martin, I think no, was that?
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm here.
welcome, Martin. Oh, welcome back, Martin. Sorry. Yeah, okay, no worries. You're not new, but that's okay. You've not been on for a while.
My wife just recently got a new Model 3.
Very good. Oh, congratulations to Maria. That's fantastic.
Yeah, bit disappointed with the range though. It's not really that much better than the old Model 3. You know, we're supposed to be getting 629, which I thought would result in about 550, but we're not even getting past 470, 480. But still early days.
At 100%, Martin?
Yes.
Yep. Look, the tyres are brand new. They are sort of a little bit softer initially, so you might get a little bit better. But you know, to be honest, the range that is sort of the headline range is difficult to achieve on the open highway. You know, perhaps around town it's a bit easier, but yeah, I mean, it's a good advice to anyone. Don't necessarily look at the range numbers as the average range. It's more like the maximum that you're going to get on a good day on a good road. And
it'd need to be about 100 watts per kilometre though to achieve the 629.
Yeah, I just don't think 629 on a Model 3.
Is it
it's just not going to do
long
it.
range?
Yeah, Martin, that's a long range Model 3 Highland?
Yeah, dual motor long range, yeah. Extra 21,500 or something.
Fine car it is. How do you like the interior? And more importantly, how does Maria like the push button indicators?
Look, the car is fantastic. It handles a lot better than the old 3. And I think she's finding it difficult to deal with the swipe up for forward and swipe down for reverse. It's just, and particularly if you're right-handed, it's just a bit uncomfortable. The blinkers, the new blinkers work okay.
Yeah, cool.
But it's just the forward and reverse that's causing some dramas.
Oh, fair enough. I mean, I guess like many things, results can vary individually. Some people really hate the push button indicators, others don't mind them at all. And yeah, I guess that forward and backwards direction for reverse and drive, yeah, that's interesting. I guess some people have different opinions on that. Has she noticed any semi-automatic operation of that yet, where it'll infer that you want to go in reverse because you've driven into, for example, a garage or something?
No, she doesn't want to. She doesn't want to turn that on, Harold.
Yeah, that's okay. Fair enough. That's all right. Look, it's like a lot of people used to be reluctant to give autopilot a go until they sort of eventually did and found it was pretty useful. So hopefully maybe sometime in the future she might give it a whiz and see how it goes. But excellent. Well, welcome back, Martin. Thank you for sharing that.
Thanks, Harold. Can you see me? Can you see me okay?
Yes, I can see you are not. You do not have a camera on, so there's nothing. No, you don't have a camera at all. So you're just
okay, hang
a
on.
black box with your name on it.
Oh, I've had a camera. I'll just leave that with me.
Yeah,
I'll
that's
have a
cool.
look and see if I
Leave
can
it
find
with
it.
you. No worries. Now, my apologies before. I was quite busy, and a shout out to Fran Stanley, who sent me a text less than an hour ago now, with a media statement saying that the WA government had just released a new position statement on electric vehicle charging infrastructure. So then I madly had to try and jam that into the news. And I think it might be a good time, and particularly since Chuck is here, Charles Gregory, the Tasmania, well, the Toka Tasmania local rep, is with us from the future, actually deep ahead in the future, like 3 hours ahead. This is the position statement. Let me just organise a couple of things. And this literally just came out, well, today it was announced. And I had to very madly try and speed read it. And basically, some of the highlights, it basically affects anything to do with the West Australian planning system. And a lot of this is for local government planning and to do with their planning schemes. And in essence, it is there to encourage the provision and facilitate the provision of EV charging infrastructure. So, for example, it's saying that you will get exemption from planning. You do not need a development approval for all EV charging infrastructure associated with a single house and grouped dwellings for private use. So you then don't need to ask a council for development approval for that sort of application. Also, for all EV charging infrastructure, this includes fast DC charging and superchargers contained within a building or a structure. So if you can tuck it inside a building, you do not need development approval, which is a great, I think Tesla will already be aware of this, and that's a great move ahead. There's also that they're trying to get local planning policy to introduce a requirement to provide EV charging infrastructure when certain land use and development is proposed. So that's also a good thing. It's basically trying to encourage, almost like as a precondition, that some EV charging infrastructure is contained within that development. And they've also, they say, to encourage the provision of EV charging infrastructure, local governments may consider establishing provisioning ratios for certain land uses. And if we skip ahead to their table, they do have, so green is preferred, which I guess is more strongly sort of mandated or encouraged, and encouraged is probably, well, whatever, I don't know what you'd call that in government speak. But B&Bs, basically that a level 1, by the way, is just call it 10 amp single phase. Level 2 is anything that's sort of like a Tesla wall charger that's either 7.6 kilowatts, like high current single phase, or 3 phase. They're saying in a car park, 3 phase charging for 2% of the bays where there are greater than 50 bays, and a cinema and a theatre, the same thing, with at least 1 bay. And it sort of goes along. Freeway service centre, this is a bit more interesting. 4 bays of level 2, bearing in mind that's AC, and level 3 is fast DC. And in holiday accommodation, they encourage, well, a PowerPoint for each bay. And the same for a holiday house. Hospital, it's encouraged. Hotels, also encouraged. And you've got shops, and they sort of have a bit of a stipulation there, depending on. But again, these are only level 2, so that's only AC charging. One thing they do note a little bit further up is that they're recommending that parking restrictions should match the expected dwell time at the site. Time required to obtain a reasonable charge from the level of charger provided. This may include consideration of charging/parking time limits, no parking for non-EVs, and EVs not utilising the charging facility. So I guess that's really code for, it sounds like they're going to bring out a universal penalty for idle, such as idle fees, and again, a non-EV parked at a EV charging location, or an EV not charging. And that I presume it's implying that might be a bit of a statewide policy. So hopefully all of the parking locations everywhere can get similar protection as do disabled bays and other protected parking areas. So there you go. That's literally hot off the press from only just a couple of hours ago that I was made, well, not even that I was made aware of it.
Yeah. It was just when you did the intro at the start where I first saw this. So yeah. I'm glad you didn't ask me details about it, because I had no idea until you did that.
And I had no idea until I finished speed reading it at 7:30 actually.
I noticed in the definitions of abbreviations, it's got electric vehicle means a battery electric vehicle, plug-in hybrid electric vehicle, or a fuel cell electric vehicle. I'm not quite sure what the fuel cell ones are going to be doing parking next to the chargers, but anyway.
Deary me, yes. And for completeness, you've got level 1, which you can just set level 1 aside. Everything that's a GPO is a level 1 charger, and level 2 is basically a not super slow AC charger, and then level 3. Oh, they talk about level 2 fast charging. I just don't get that. It's just confusing. But anyway, let's call that a super slow DC charger. Yeah, anyway. And then level 3 is what we really want, which is fast DC.
Yeah, so the fast charging is from 22 kilowatts DC to 350. It's in the document.
Yeah, no, I wish they...
Yeah.
For group dwellings, the plug is good.
Yeah.
You know, like just a PowerPoint, just for a lot of people that live in, you know, units, just being able to get a PowerPoint would be a win for most stratas. Just the fact to remove that.
Yeah, the biggest problem with the disposition statement is it specifically says it's not intended to be retrospectively applied, unfortunately. So if you're in an existing grouped dwelling and your strata company or the members of that strata company specifically refuse to allow you at your own expense, as we've heard with several Tesla owners, even just to put a GPO in your car bay at your expense with its own meter, hopefully there'll be some other policy that will be able to address that in the future, because that's kind of specifically outrageous. And because I've been so busy on this thing, I have actually come across, and I'll have to find it in a sec, there is a great video talking about EV fire safety in Australia. And from memory, and it goes for about an hour and 18 minutes, and I only saw a couple of snippets. It's an excellent video. I think it says that in all of EV history in Australia, there have been 6 fires, and two of them were due to physical damage on the road. Like one ran over a truck's tail shaft and pierced the battery pack and burnt. There was another one that was physically damaged, and I think quite a few others. In fact, I think they were the only ones that actually where the battery pack itself caught on fire, and that was only due to external damage. There was 0 EV fires started from being plugged into charging infrastructure. So that's an important thing to note of any kind. And I think all of the other 4 fires were basically due to external factors, such as they were set on fire due to arson, or I think one actually had lithium ion batteries from a battery drill or something, probably in a garage, that set fire to the car. So that's another excellent video to have a look at, but I'll try and find that in a sec. But certainly have a...
Is that the one where Emma Sutcliffe from EV Fire Safe was talking to Robert Llewellyn? Yeah. No. This was a... yes and no.
That is her.
The
same lady, but this was a Zoom. This was actually a Zoom session.
Yeah.
I'm just going.
I was going to say, all all this stuff you're talking about is all the stuff I keep getting because it's my job. So, you know, like the policy stuff this morning, the amount of emails I got from different colleagues going, "Oh, Paul, have you seen this? Have you seen this?" So,
yeah. So this is basically it. It's titled February 2024 Education Night Case Study Tesla Model 3 Incident, New South Wales AFI, and they do go through. I think I'm not going to have it in time, but there it is. So let's just make that bigger. Yeah, one was caused by there were 6, 1 by arson, 3 by external fires, 1 collision, and 1 road debris. That's 6. And further on in the video, it basically explains in quite profound detail that the proven incidence of EV fires is between a 10th and a 20th that of EVs. Of conventional fossil fueled vehicles, internal combustion vehicles. So anyway, that's one little other snippet. Alrighty, has anyone got any questions or comments?
There's one extra thing about the fires that I'll mention. That was in the other video that Emma Sutcliffe that I was talking about before. She said the only time ever when an EV has caught fire while on a ship or a ferry was in Norway in 2010. It was a home converted EV that wasn't done properly. So that's the only time in history that there's been an EV on a boat, an EV fire on a boat. All the delivery ships with new EVs, when there's cars on them, you'll often hear someone say, "Oh, it was because of the EVs." One of the most recent ones where that happened, the fire obviously wasn't the EVs, but not only that, once they managed to get the ship docked, all the EVs were able to drive off safely because that part of the ship was fine, and the petrol cars all had to be, lifted off by crane because they were destroyed. So that was So the EVs were completely not related to that issue at all. But I'm preaching to the choir here, so.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think it's an important thing because understandably that there might be new owners and unfortunately the term EV is being conflated with scooters, ride-on scooters and similar things and hoverboards and whatever you call them. And they truly are specifically dangerous because a lot of the charging circuits are extraordinarily cheap and these things get overcharged and they're kept inside a house or right next to a house, and that's caused vastly more fires and like almost on a daily basis. And they unfortunately get conflated as being described as electric vehicles just because they move, as opposed to a $50,000 or $40,000 homologated, intrinsically safe EV that has vastly more regulation and engineering effort put into it. But no, it's a good point, Chuck. Definitely. Alrighty. Any other questions or comments, especially for anyone who's newly gotten their car? If you've got any upcoming questions.
Harold, just a question. You may have covered this in previous meetings, but what's the latest with the rollout of the state government's electric highway? Is that 50% complete or 60% or?
Yeah, it certainly is beyond 50%. So this was covered I think it was last week by Sandra Giri, or was the week before. So basically there are 26, I think that might be 27, but it was stated as 26. Actually, no, it is now 27 live locations out of the 49 that have been promised. The new addition is Nyanyatera, although it's not yet on the ChargeFox network because it's just pending a couple of it's like a test procedure or a test jig that is applied to it. So basically on this map here, Martin, you can see all the green ones, and then you've got to include Nyanyatera are the live locations, and the orange locations are being built now. Kalgoorlie is going to come online fairly soon, and the others are in construction. Fitzroy Crossing certainly very soon. and then the yellow ones are going to be a little bit later. What was explained was that the entirety of Synergy's part of the network, which is in the dark blue, you can see here on the map, that will be complete by the end of this financial year. So let's call that June 30. And the other portion, which is the Horizon Power portion of the WAV network, including the Nullarbor ones, which are obviously off grid, that they are due to be completed by August this year. Let's call it the end of August.
Are they all the same make? Are they all the same make, and have they all got the same power?
So in all of the locations that are on, let's call it a healthy grid. So that includes, everything on the Swiss. I think it's basically everything on the Swiss, the Southwest Interconnected System, 150 kilowatt, at least one 150 kilowatt chem power unit, dual CCS unit. They can split power between itself, so you can get 75 kilowatts on each outlet if there are two cars connected simultaneously.
Yep.
On the Horizon Power's network, for example, if we look at Denham, that's a 150 kilowatt chem power. Carnarvon, Exmouth, actually, believe it or not, has two of these units. Karratha, Port Hedland, Broome, Derby, Halls Creek, Warman, Kununurra, and Fitzroy Crossing, they all have 150 kilowatt full power charges. But your Euclid, Majuro, Kaiguna, Belladonna, Fortescue River, Roadhouse, Nanyutara, Overlander, and Billabong, not sure about Wim Creek, Pardue, Sandfire, Lagrange, and Muir Ranges, they will, because they are off-grid units that are basically solar powered with a diesel generator backup, they will be 50 kilowatt tritium RTM units, which also have two CCS nozzles, so they can share and split between two cars for simultaneous charging. So at any one location, you can simultaneously fast DC charge. It's just that if that location is literally off the grid entirely, it will be a maximum of 50 kilowatts for one car or 25 kilowatts for two that are simultaneously charging. Now, every site that's got a single fast DC charger unit will have a Type 2 AC backup unit, and they're separate. So if for whatever reason that the fast DC goes down, the AC is there as a backup. Notwithstanding, and I guess there's probably quite a few of us in the room that were aware of an outage that occurred it was actually a planned outage that occurred at Williams on Thursday, and that actually blacked out the entire town of Williams, including the petrol stations, so they couldn't sell petrol. But the supercharger was down and the WAV network was also down. Now, initially we all thought, oh, this is, terrible, and we weren't given notice. Tesla gave us zero notice, so there was no email or any form of communications that I'm aware of. In the WAV network, there actually was notice put up on the ChargeFox app. There was a blue message if you clicked on details prior to the outage that said there was an outage expected on that date. And I think that warning went up on the 21st of February. I guess the learning that a lot of people, including myself, I didn't go there, but to be honest, I often don't bother to check beforehand where I'm planning to go through a charger. I usually only check when I get there or if I'm at a charger just before it. So I think a few people did get caught out whereby they basically got there only to find there was no power, and the power was expected to come back at 5 p.m. I think it actually came back roughly after lunchtime. Then unfortunately, to follow up on that, when the power was restored, it's all but certain that there was a Telstra wireless network data issue, and it meant that neither the supercharger nor the WAV network had any communications with their respective motherships. So Tesla on Friday was showing the supercharger as offline and not available, and was routing people a different way if you wanted to get to south of Williams or to Albany, say. Although the supercharger itself was actually in offline mode and operating at, I don't know if you call it free vend, or maybe they might have caught up on the billing later. And the WAV network, as designed, went into free vend mode. It's just that ChargeFox didn't know about it because there was no communication, no data communications whatsoever. And that problem persisted for several days until I think it was resolved possibly the day before yesterday, which is unfortunate.
Wow.
But there's the big roundup. So look, the WAV network is progressing well. Speaking of which, also we've got confirmation that the transformer has been installed at the Cogenup site. So that means, and that's a dual WAV network and Tesla supercharger site in Cogenup. And the actual stalls are the foundations for the Tesla stalls, and I think there's 6 of them. Oh, actually, that could be wrong. There's at least 3, and they're starting to be put in. So that's great progress for Cogenup. And also at Albany on the 13th of March, and I'll repeat this until it happens, there will be an entire outage for the WAV network dual chargers. They will be dead all day on the 13th of March. And that's because Tesla is upgrading the transformer so they can actually put in their 6-stall supercharger site next to the WAV network.
And I noticed, I think it might have been Jason on Twitter posted work at Albany started.
Yes, he did. And I think that's where you see the 6 stall
bases.
foundations in a row.
Yep.
And for those of us, or for those people now, including me, that are interested in towing or caravanning, sadly, the Albany site is not caravan friendly at either location, the WAV network nor the supercharger. But anyway, moving right along. I've done enough talking for a minute. Has anyone got any questions or comments?
I was also going to add, talking of the supercharger bases, I've just put a picture of Cogenup in the chat that was off PlugShare. And it looks like 4 bases, but it could be, I've got the layout mixed up. So I don't know if you want to share the picture there.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just getting it to line up.
Yep. I don't know if anyone else can shed any more light on what's what there, because you're going to have the Tesla and the WAV.
That looks like there's going to be a couple of pull-through ones, I hope.
It's a big area.
Yeah.
Doesn't it look like that?
I don't know what this is. These look like supercharger stalls.
If I had to guess, I'd say the 4 at the front or 4 at the left, the front left, I'd say they're supercharger stalls, and those 2 behind might be the WAV network units.
Oh, okay.
Facing the other way, perhaps. I'm just guessing.
Oh, that's almost plausible. However, WAV network customarily has the ChargeMate in the middle. They have like a...
Oh, yeah, like the AC.
Yeah, so I'd expect smaller conduits. Look, they could just be light poles, I wonder.
Oh, that's true.
Oh, yeah.
They're skinny conduits, and that could just be a light pole.
And you've got the 4 screws at the base, which they use to secure the pole to.
Yeah.
Well, there's more pipes over on the back in front of that white and green sign. There's some pipes sticking up. Don't know what they are. They might be weird.
Yeah. See, it's possible. I think I'm aware. I think I've been told that the same contractor is doing both jobs. So they're doing the Tesla job and the WAV network job. And what it possibly could be, this photo may only be showing one of those sites at the moment. So the WAV network might be it might be behind the camera or to the left altogether.
There's another picture. I'll paste that as well.
Yeah, cool.
Awesome.
I
That's
might
amazing.
be going past. I'll be definitely going past Kojin up on Sunday, so I'll get the most up-to-date photos then.
Your caravan.
Don't know. Don't. Well, okay. To be honest, Steve, I'm picking one up at lunchtime tomorrow, but I just don't know whether I'll be taking it with me on the weekend. Let's have a look at this photo.
Ooh.
Let's have a look. Oh, gee, that. Ooh, that's interesting because there's your Tesla signs. There's your supercharger sign. There's one there, one there, one there, one there. So it's a 4-stall, and they're probably street lights. And if the sign is that far back and the stall is there, these are pull-throughs. These are.
Ooh. That's
Or are
cool.
they? Or are they?
They could just be front-end spaces, and if it's just if it's a really big empty parking area, then they become pull-throughs by default, I guess.
I've just put a photo in from ahead of the curve from Pete. I wonder if they're like number 6 in his diagram there.
Do we have that?
Yeah, it's in the
diagram?
chat.
Oh, okay, cool. 2 seconds. Is that further up? Is it?
It's just before the it's in between the two Kojin up photos.
Oh, I think it might have
Oh
sent it
no,
straight
sorry,
to me,
I
Dave.
sent it to Charles. Sorry, not to everybody. Sorry. Yeah, it's in there
cool.
for everybody
if
now.
you can, if you can send it to me, then I'll pop it up straight away.
Yep.
It's
in there for everybody.
Yeah, it's just coming slowly. The thing that's interesting is, look, as long as they don't put a barrier here, and these are just signs just to indicate what its purpose is, then you could imagine going all the way through. If they were forward bays and you had to reverse, that's not fantastic for a caravan. But look, it's not insurmountable with some skills.
So the photos there now, I wonder if they're like number 6, where they are back to back or pull through.
Okay, it's just loading slowly through the interwebs. Okay. So number 6. Yeah, sort of. Yeah, sort of like number 6, but they're not really double stalls. So, but similar.
Yeah,
similar.
number 6, but single stall, so you could.
Single stalls, yeah. Just 4 stalls. And
Yeah.
the thing is, I know that 4 stalls are possible in Australia. They haven't been done much. Actually, Chuck, are you aware of any 4 stalls yet? I think there are some. There were some 4-stall new sites.
You're testing me. There are a few which were not multiples of 3, like they were 8 stalls.
Yes.
You've really caught me now. Just trying to look through and find them now.
That's all right. You're the goat. You're the charging goat. So
I think there are 3 12-stall sites which open up in December. And they could be a mix of, they could be either 3 or 4 per cabinet.
Yes, yeah. I think there has. Oh, go on.
Oh, sorry, I was going to say the 16 stall in Albury, the one with the V4 stall hardware. That's 16 stalls, and it's all in that undercover sort of parking area.
And so therefore 4 cabinets. Well, it has to be
That'd be 4 cabinets.
Because otherwise there'd be 15 and not 16. So if it was a 3 configuration.
Yeah.
So that means either we're going to score a 4-stall version 3, or excitingly, it could possibly be the first 4-stall version 4 supercharger in WA.
Wonder that.
Potentially.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the only 2 with the version 4 stalls are Albury, and there's one under construction in Orange in New South Wales. So those 2 are the only ones which are using the new shaped units.
And the thing is, this image confirms that there are 4 stalls, and it's also certain that these are Tesla. This is not the WAV network. This is not how the Kempower units are done. So that's definitely Tesla. And these poles that will say, we don't know what they'll say, because this will probably be open to all EVs. It'll probably just say EV charging only or something like that. And that's typical Tesla. So that's a 4-stall site. for sure.
That's it.
So that's interesting. And look,
Yeah.
the progress is look, Tesla, once they start building, they don't mess around. So let's hope that that's available. It probably won't be available before Easter, but actually, when is Easter? It's in a couple of weeks, isn't it? Yeah, it won't be ready for Easter, but
29.
Yeah, end of
End of
March.
March. Yeah.
oh, end of March. Oh,
Yeah,
sorry. Well, then in
29.
that case,
Yeah,
it
29,
might be
29.
ready by Easter, unless they have to wait for bitumizing, which could take some time. But let's hope the bitumizing's either quick or they don't wait for it.
Like Williams.
Like Williams. Exactly. Alrighty. Any other questions?
Before I go,
Chuck.
there's
Yeah,
one more,
absolutely.
one more supercharge related post. Next time you do a lap of the country, which you tend to do every couple of months, I think at the moment, you
I'm not
might
even
be
going to
lucky.
refute that because I've got zero credibility, Chuck. I really do.
When you get to the northeast part of the country, there might be another supercharger there for you, which I've just pasted that in the chat too.
And is that Mackay?
That's Bowen.
Oh, Bowen. Okay, cool. Yeah, cool. Is that
So-
actually under construction or is it just planned?
Yeah, under construction now. Yeah.
Right, awesome. Because we also know that they on their map, their rollout map, they've got Mackay, which
Yeah.
sorry,
Yeah,
excuse my ignorance. That's south. I think it's just south of Bowen,
That's
isn't
south.
it? I think
Yeah. I should have done that a bit more zoomed in with all the town names listed, but yeah, that's a bit further south.
Yeah,
when
fantastic.
when they're finishing off Rockhampton in December, someone was talking to the crew doing the installation, and they said Mackay and Bowen were next. And
Yeah,
at that
fantastic.
point, Bowen wasn't even on the radar, so it was sort of a wait and see. And now Bowen's being built, so good chance Mackay's going to be built too.
Awesome.
Very
That's
soon.
fantastic.
So you'll be there in a few weeks, I'm sure.
No, I promise I won't. No, I won't. No. I love my wife, and I'd like her to remain my wife for quite a while longer. And anyway, I've got to fit out the new caravan and stuff, and do other mods and sods and whatever. But I mean, actually, this is the first time you've been on for a little while, Chuck. We are coming to the EVA conference en masse.
Yes, yes, I got a message
to-
from James.
To Hobart. So get the red carpet ready, and yes, you're going to have quite a few strange number-plated Teslas invading Tassie.
Oh,
We'll
that's
have,
all
to, we'll have to let the spirit of Tassie know that they'll have to have lots of stickers for that sailing.
right. I'd order a bulk pack.
Yeah.
Bulk pack will get a stamp. Just ka-chung, ka-chung. Oh man, that's sort of funny, but it's sort of not. But yeah, it is actually quite funny.
Yeah. And you'll be racing to be the first off to use the 3-stall supercharger. It's like you'll be all challenging each other for it.
Actually, Chuck, we'll be coming from different directions, some of us.
Okay.
Because, one of the problems is, even though there's a bit of DC charging, if we couldn't have 10 Teslas crossing simultaneously, because even that becomes a crowd, especially at night time. But some of us might be coming from other directions.
Are you coming
that's
from the
all
south, Harold?
right.
Or the yeast.
Yeah, well,
By the Antarctic icebreakers.
yeah. Yeah, I might be coming via Ushuaia, via ship.
That's it.
That would be an awesome odyssey. That would be an odyssey, but no, I won't do that. But yeah, that's awesome. Now, one other bit of news, and obviously, Chuck, you'd be more over this than I was, and it's kind of mixed feelings. I think it's a good thing, but it's sad that it is a good thing, and that is that the RACV has announced that all of their, and let's face it, it's mostly tritium RT units are being replaced by Kempowers.
Oh, that's
And
shocking.
it's a shocking thing. It's sad at every level, because it's sad that a proudly Australian company, just as hindsight would put it, just was not capable of producing a fit for purpose commercial charger.
They dug their own grave.
Yeah, And I think at a market cap now that is in the single digit percentage points of what their IPO was, it's going to be a fitting end to what is really just been a manifest failure, and a sad one at that. But good on the RACV for taking the bit in their teeth and just doing what they have to do, which is you quit the old infrastructure, cut your losses, and properly service the EV community, which is what we all deserve.
Yeah. No, that sounds fair enough. Did you also see the email today from ChargeFox about the discounts? I'm just gonna find it.
Sadly, not the WAV network. It's really just reiterating discounts of in WA, it's the RAC Electric Highway. I think that's a 20% discount off the top of my head, and you get a 10% discount as, for example, I presume it's a motoring club member nationwide for all of the other affiliates. I presume that's right, Chuck?
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, I clicked on the link and for the details, and it said there were special situations for RACQ and for RAC in WA. So you guys have a bit of a extra bonus in that you still get 20% in Western Australia and 10% in the other states. Whereas most of the others, it's just 10% across the board. So,
oh, right. So even if you're in the home state, you don't get a 20% discount, for example.
No, that's only for you and for RACQ.
Okay, cool.
For the one side in Queensland that they have.
Yep.
But all the others, it's just gone to a flat 10% from what I can see.
Right. So NRMA, all the NRMA charges that are being charged for, which aren't that many yet, that's a 10% discount across the board.
Yeah, there's 19 locations listed. About half of them are NRMA and half of them are ACV.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Cool.
Yeah. So as a newbie, I just got a question.
Yes,
Who is ChargeFox? Is it like a government-controlled sort of network sharing place, or is it privately owned? And how do they make money? And just some questions around that.
Yep. So ChargeFox, and now they've increasingly been. It's very confusing. If you look at the optics of what a ChargeFox site is on Google Maps, so for example, frustratingly, if you want to look up. If you want to drive to the Jurien Bay WAV Network charger, fast DC charger, good luck. You can't put in WAV Network. If you put in ChargeFox as the first word, followed by the town or the city, then that's the quickest way to find a WAV Network charger. So most people assume that it's the ChargeFox network. The chargers are run by ChargeFox and may or may not be owned by ChargeFox, and kind of everything is ChargeFox. But ChargeFox is to EV charging like Visa or MasterCard is to shopping, in the sense that they are now purely the billing system.
Yeah, they describe themselves as just a software platform now.
Yep.
They're not actually a supplier of chargers. They're just a supplier of charger management software.
Precisely. But the problem is, a lot of the livery that's on the chargers almost implies it's a ChargeFox thing. And the actual fact is, for example, the WAV network, which is the state government run 49 locations once it's complete, they can choose at a later date to pick any service provider. They are the ones that are responsible for maintenance. They are the ones responsible for the equipment. They are responsible also for the manner in which it's billed, as in the metric, the amount. So it's the owner that determines that. ChargeFox is just the means by which you access that equipment using either a ChargeFox card, RFID card, or their app. So that's all ChargeFox is.
And in terms of your ownership question, they're owned by all of the RACs of Australia, basically. So they're a subsidiary company of RACV, RACQ, etc.
All right. So
Harold,
they just make
what
their money by
platform?
small charges, like per transaction.
Well, they make their money by charging the the owners of the chargers a fee to manage their charger for them, basically. So so you install a charger, which you completely pay for and do it by yourself, as Harold's just said, and then you also then pay ChargeFox an ongoing fee for them to manage your charger for you. And so I'm assuming they also take a skim off the top of each session as well. So that's their revenue.
And
Cool. Thank
frustratingly,
you, guys.
ChargeFox as the billing system, for example, in Western Australia, has done a deal with several luxury car manufacturers, such as Mercedes, BMW, Jaguar,
Audi.
that the deal is that if you go to a ChargeFox build site, so a fast DC charger site, so for example, you go to the WAV Network site at Kings Park, in your Mercedes and other complying EVs for up to a number of years, I think it's 2 or 3 or 4 years, you will get free unlimited charging, fast charging, which then distorts the market. And you'll notice that you can't get a charge often, if you needed it, at the RAC headquarters in town, because there'll be a Audi e-tron, Mercedes EQC and others sitting there merrily filling up their car for free because I can't resist it. So that then introduces distortions across the entire platform, which is owned by different operators. So anyway,
why did Tesla add them as ChargeFox and not WAV Network?
okay, because the way that Tesla inhales those non-supercharger charging locations is via a company called Eco Movement, and they are based in Europe. So Eco Movement, they have an agreement, a service agreement with ChargeFox, which actually is at no cost to ChargeFox, whereby they interrogate a ChargeFox API, which shows the live status of all their stations, and it also verifies what the power levels is. And one little interesting snippet is, for example, if you look at, I don't know if the RAC charger in town is on the map, but it will correctly describe it as a 160 kilowatt charger, even though the RAC describe it as a 350 kilowatt charger, because the Teslas don't have 800 volt packs, and you can't get 350 kilowatts out of 500 amps, which is the CCS standard limit. So Eco Movement inhale the information, they agglomerate it, they check it, they verify it, they keep it up to date. They then feed that under agreement to Tesla, who then populate it into their navigation screens. So, so hopefully the WA government, as in the WAV network, will get those locations appropriately labelled as the WAV network, and not just ChargeFox Jurien Bay and ChargeFox Derby and whatever.
Are they aware of it? Can we speak to Sandra, or is that how it goes?
They're aware of it. Okay. Absolutely aware of it. So so let's hope something gets done about that. I think also, to complicate it, ChargeFox actually has a direct path to Google. So you'll also notice on Google Maps in general, you just open up Google Maps on your computer, they actually now show pins for charging infrastructure. And the problem is Eco Movement feeds Google and Tesla those locations, as does ChargeFox directly. And I guess the problem's going to be ChargeFox is telling Eco Movement, we've got a ChargeFox location at Kings Park, because technically they have a billing agreement. And then Eco Movement might also tell Tesla that we've got a WAV network charger in the same location. So I'm not quite sure what's going to happen.
I think the easiest way to describe it is that ChargeFox manages all that distribution of charger info to all those other sites for the site operator. Because even though WAV network will be a big network, you might also have a small company that just has one fast charger at the front, and that might be a takeaway shop or something like that. they
Yep.
might not have any interest in managing any of that stuff. So ChargeFox would just do it all for them.
And that would be totally, as far as I'm concerned, if the owner is happy to be known as a ChargeFox site,
Yeah.
good on them, and that's entirely appropriate. But if a state government, if the taxpayers of a state government have spent $25 or $26 million, plus probably tens and tens of thousands of dollars on actually deciding to call this the WAV network, I'd say that kind of network deserves to be called what it is and not to be mistaken as just another ChargeFox network. Because you could imagine if there were shitty tritiums over east that are labelled ChargeFox, well then we shouldn't assume that the ChargeFox network is crappy everywhere. It's only crappy where you've got crappy hardware. And I dare say perhaps crappy owners that aren't looking after the hardware. So let's hope the WAV network, like I said, look, even if it's dual named, if we can search in our screen ChargeFox Durian Bay or WAV network or some short abbreviation to get the location, then it'll be better for all of us.
Yeah, it's the same with the ones in Tassie, because like WA, we're very parochial about things that come from our state. And so Electric Highway Tasmania has about 15 or so sites, and they're all through ChargeFox. And if you want to find them in your navigation, you type in ChargeFox. You don't type in Electric Highway Tasmania or whatever.
To be honest, if you could just put in CF space town, that would be handy, because it annoys the crap out of me to have to go, CHARGEFOX, and then it gets nowhere, and then you still got to start typing in the town.
Yeah.
But hey, that's a first world.
Joe mode. Maybe we can get H mode or something.
Yeah, I mean, it's just something brief that's easy to do. The other thing too is at the moment, look, as good as it is that Tesla's implemented the eco movement ecosystem, it's not yet comprehensive. So there are lots of charges that are missing, and hopefully over the next weeks and months that'll all get filled in, and we'll be able to use navigation properly to actually navigate and know where all the charges are along the way.
And get the preconditioning going.
That actually works. That has been, I think I actually confirmed it from memory. I did confirm it somewhere up in
preconditioning definitely
time.
works, but it won't route to the chargers by default now. It won't use it in the route planner.
Exactly. So you still have to do a little bit of work yourself. But I mean, that's healthy to do on a road trip anyway. And I guess this is important to press this at the moment, because this is a trailblazing network whose intention is just to make it possible to do road trips. There is only ever usually one fast DC charger with 2 nozzles, and it's highly plausible, especially during school holidays, that it could be occupied and you'd have to wait. So at the moment, it's healthy to basically don't pass a charger that's operational without charging there, unless you're really, really full. But it's always useful to be able to have enough juice to possibly be able to skip the next charger location in favour of the one beyond it, just for convenience sake. And also, if you go on a road trip, please and do this before you start charging, because this is another very big, very extremely frustrating thing with ChargeFox is, once you start charging on the ChargeFox charger, you cannot use your app to look at the status of any of the other charger locations. All it shows is a charging screen with this gyrating battery showing that your car is charging right now. And you can't, unlike Tesla, you can't quit out of that. So, but if you do want to, and you're in a Tesla, obviously, just go into your web browser, type in ChargeFox's, just chargefox.com.au, and towards the bottom of that web page, there's a map or a charger location map. Click on that, save it as a favorite, and then you can actually get the live status through your web browser in your car, because your ChargeFox app won't give it to you while you're charging. And frustratingly, that's often when you want to plan the next one, is while you're charging at the moment.
Have you tried doing that in incognito mode on your web browser on your phone?
Sorry, web browser on your phone would also work, of course, yes. But
yeah, cool.
but your Tesla screen, you're usually sitting in your car while you're fast DC charging, because you won't be there very long. At the Kempower charges, you can get you can get 100 k's of an hour of range. 100 kilometers of range in 10 minutes. Particularly when you arrive with a low state of charge. So anything less than about 50% state of charge, you'll get roughly 100 kilometers of range in 10 minutes. So you won't be there long.
Awesome. Thank you very much for the detailed response, guys. Really appreciate it.
No worries, Jeff. Anyone else got, and sorry, apologies to ChargeFox for the bit of a rant, but sometimes big companies deserve it. And James, you've got your hand up really patiently.
Yeah, Brighton, Victoria, Naroomba, New South Wales, and Toowoomba, Queensland are all force-stall chargers, Tesla chargers. I put a link in to you to show, and a photo that shows the layout of a 4 charger at Brighton. On ChargeFox, they all look the same. So there's sort of a 2 and a 2 singles and a double.
Well, I haven't got that yet, James. Sorry, I've got the locations: Brighton, Narooma.
Yep.
And that's under ChargeFox. I mean, sorry, let's have a look at
just a picture of a charger.
Haven't got that yet. Sorry, unless you just did it.
No, I did it a while ago.
Oh, here we go. Sorry, yeah, I did get it. Sorry, apologies. It's right here. This is and this is like the Lancelin cluster, almost, but not quite.
So that's Brighton.
Yep. And that's but that's not a V4, is it? It might just be a V3.
It says the third one closest to it says 1D, so I'm assuming it's
Yeah, that's a bit confusing because they don't really share power, although they kind of do, but not as badly as the ones at Eton. But yeah, right, that's interesting.
Yeah, that does look a V3 site.
It's a V3.
It is.
Yes. Yep.
Cool. Yeah, whether the
That's a
cabinets
lot,
have 3 or 4 connections isn't there's no correlation between a 3 or 4 connection cabinet and a V3 or V4 stall hardware. It's just they're 2 different things. There's mixtures of each.
Yeah, and it was explained to me it had something strange to do about the power voltages coming in. Although I thought we had the highest power 3-phase coming in, which is notionally 415 volts, but like 240 volts 3-phase, but I don't know.
But the other interesting thing I had, Harold, is on the back of the ChargeFox news, it's been picked up by the affiliated newspapers, all the local newspapers, Canberra, Mandurah. So I put a link into the Mandurah news because that's not paywalled. How it's saying ChargeFox slashes discounts to club members.
After discounts. And this is actually the WAV Network site at Geraldton on its opening.
Yeah. But that heading is across all of I can't find any big newspapers, but it's all the affiliated regional newspapers.
I don't think the discounts have been halved.
No, they haven't for WA, but they have so it's 10% everywhere else, but it's still 20% in WA when you're inside of WA.
Gotcha. And did they mention WA? No.
No, they do. It's a generic article. It does mention it in the small print down the bottom. Somewhere. But it's very, But
Unless
the big headline is slashed. Yeah.
Yeah, right. And this is the Mandurah Mail who've just done a copy and paste and syndicated the story. So
it's a syndicated story. It's in every, it's in Canberra Times, it's in the Wollongong Times, it's in all the regional papers.
Yeah, so they just don't mention RACWA as cutting. Yeah, right.
Which I thought was interesting because that one's in a WA paper and they haven't even bothered to differentiate. Obviously people in Queensland, Victoria wouldn't care about the WA, but you thought the Mandurah people might put, by the way, WA.
Well, you might get the wrong idea.
Yeah, and the one in Launceston, because it's the only one that wasn't sold to a motoring club, it doesn't have it doesn't have the discount at all now, so it's just the standard rate.
Yeah.
But of course, the version of this article in the local regional Northern Tasmanian papers won't mention that at all. So, yeah, it's so annoying.
It's just an indictment on the slackness of people just bashing out an article in 2 minutes and just hitting the send button, and that's it, job done. Yeah. Anyway.
You know what the funny thing is?
Go, Alex.
You know what the funny thing is? That paper's not even written in WA. The article.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, that's the thing. That's the frustrating thing. You'll also notice since we're bashing, well, not really bashing the RACs or whatever, but for example, the RAC magazine, a lot of that stuff isn't written in WA either. So you'll see a lot of articles about EVs, and you know how sometimes they sound a little bit ridiculous. It's because they weren't written here. So it's not local knowledge.
So Harold, there's a question in the chat from Norm. I don't know if you want to talk to it about the difference between NCA batteries at 100% affecting regen and LFP batteries affecting regen when they're 100% charged.
Okay, so LFP, it's just a wonderful battery. It's really difficult to manage to work out where the battery's at. But as far as things like, if you have an LFP battery, which is any of the new standard range Model 3s or Model Ys, they have an LFP, lithium iron phosphate battery. Those are the packs that you can charge to 100% all day, every day. That's perfectly appropriate to do. And even when they're at nearly 100% and quite cool, you have very limited, restricted regeneration. And what that means is when they're really full, really cold, and you lift your foot off the brake, we're all used to it retarding and basically regenerating energy back into the car. And the LFPs, I don't think they actually really restrict regen at all unless they're super duper cold in the middle of winter. So they just behave the same all the time. But if you get the long range version of any of the Teslas, regardless of age, and some of the really older Model 3s that were standard range but had the NCA, which stands for nickel, cobalt, and aluminium, they have a different chemistry. When they are nearly fully charged, they have distinct limits on how much you can actually continue to charge them. So when you do regeneration, you'll get like on the Model 3 and Y, you'll get like little grey dots to the left side of the little power meter. To the right, it goes dark grey, showing you're putting your foot down and using energy. To the left, it goes a green colour. But to the left of that, there'll be like little grey dots that will appear when there's restricted regen. And you'll also see a symbol that's like a green brake symbol that comes up on the screen. And that's sort of telling you that the car is going to be applying conventional brakes to make it feel more like it was regenerating as normal when it's super cold or quite full. And NCAs, when they're really full or really cold or both, they restrict regen, the rate at which you can regenerate power. So then technically, you're sort of wasting a little bit of regen because the car just can't take it at the time for the long range Model 3s and Ys and some of the older Model 3s, standard range ones. But the LFP standard range new 3s and Ys, they almost don't care. And that's a great reason why value for money, you really can't beat the standard range Highland 3s and the standard range rear wheel drive Ys. Because they really, you can use all of the range all day, every day. In the NCAs, long range cars, Tesla recommends on a daily basis, you charge the batteries generally to 80%, preferably. But bearing in mind, if you insist on charging them at a high level, it's been confirmed it will not affect your warranty. And the battery packs are warranted for, I think it's still 8 years. And, oh, Ken, you're getting a new car. Is it 160,000 Ks or is it 240? Or is it depending? It's one or the other.
I'll take a look.
And actually, Ken, since I just mentioned your name in vain, do you have any news? Because I think you were really hoping that you might be able to take up Tesla's deal, which I'd call a very good deal, of extracting full self-driving from your older Model S and full
yeah.
self-driving and unlimited lifetime supercharging, and you could possibly put it on the purchase of a new car if you could get it delivered to you before the end of March.
Yes, as a minor update to that talk from last week, and at the risk of trying to one up everyone who's had quick deliveries, I've got 6 days from order to assignment. So thank you to whoever cancelled the white Model 3 with white seats, because now it's mine, and I'm picking it up on Monday. And yes, it's going to have FSD and free unlimited supercharging from my Model S. So yeah, it was a bit of a punt, but I got a call from Tesla sales yesterday saying, "Do you want this car?" And I went, "Yep, I'll do that." So yes, if you missed last week, Tesla have a incentive to buy a new car before the end of the month. If you have an existing Tesla with full self-drive or supercharging, you can transfer that to the new vehicle. But as the other new people have mentioned, it's very easy to get a new Y right now. A bit more difficult to get a new 3. So I was kind of relying on somebody cancelling, and I think that's what happened. So they didn't even know it was in Perth, which was quite funny. They allocated me the car, and then they rang me back the next day and said, "Oh, actually, it's already here. When do you want it?" So yeah, whoever it was that cancelled that car, you beauty. Thanks, mate.
Yeah, look, and unfortunately, it sadly does happen. You know, sometimes finance and circumstances either fall through or change, and perhaps it just wasn't the right time for them, and hopefully they'll dip back in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Soon.
Hope they'll get another car next time around.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, incidentally, and please don't be grossed out by this, but if anyone is concerned about the white seats, this is an extreme case. This is all that happens to a white seat after 93,000 kilometers of not ever being cleaned. That's all that happens. That's the worst of the worst. And that's outback red dust and dirt and all sorts of other stuff after 93,000 Ks.
Have you actually had a shot at cleaning it?
No, because I'm waiting for the 100. I reckon there'd be a good YouTube video to do the 100,000 Ks in a Tesla. And I think I know the secret is hot water and a microfiber. I've done a bit of research, and that seems to be the best trick. So I think that's going to be a challenge. By the way, these marks here, they are like my fingernails virtually accidentally scratching the dirt off, literally accidentally. But that's going to be a good test, and it'll demonstrate just how good the ultra white seats are.
You have to just clean half of it and leave the other half.
That's exactly right.
Speaking of seats, Andy had a question, and I think I can relate as well. About 8:10 he sent it. The seats, I've found them a bit sweaty, as have Andy. Any pointers or tips on these, on helping keep cool for the longer drives and stuff, or just upgrade to the 2024 with the ventilated seats?
Yeah, I mean, I just say, look, no doubt, if you get into your car and you haven't turned the aircon on beforehand, then it's just going to be hot, and it's going to take a while to cool down. So then that initial sweatiness, it'll probably persist for a bit, especially if you're not ventilated seats, and depending on what you're wearing. Of course, the great trick is with the Tesla app is that, say you're at work and it's late afternoon and you're due to go home and whatever, 10 minutes or even 5 minutes before you leave, you can just spool up your Tesla app and turn your aircon on. And then you can actually get the aircon down to the temperature you want when you hop in for the first time. So that'll then probably make the whole thing feel a lot more comfortable and less sweaty. Me personally, I've been in very hot conditions and the car's been super cool and I've not been sweaty. And I'm talking 45 plus. So yeah, maybe try that as a trick.
Yeah, Harold, you can put it on probably 10 minutes early. If you put it on 5 minutes early, the car's cool, but the seats, I got black seats. They're still quite hot, so you get in and they're quite warm. But you put your aircon on 10 minutes early, and the actual seats do cool down, so you notice you don't get as sweaty as much. So just give it an extra 5 minutes.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, James. Andy, go.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, we have been doing that. So and that does help, and I do agree. It does. There's the residual heat. You've got to overcome that. I don't have a blind, which maybe that's what I should invest in. And they're black seats. So I do find that actually the temperature thing, it says, okay, it's reached temperature, and you've said it's a 21.5 or something, and actually it's 21.5 probably right by the vent, but actually not in the car, not really. Compared to a petrol car, the aircon, when you had it on cold, it was really felt cold. Whereas, with the recent heat waves, it's been cool, but it hasn't been sort of icy cold. So it doesn't seem like the air conditioning is quite as aggressive, perhaps, as other cars that we've had.
Have you checked,
Do you have it on
Andy, that you've got it on
recirculation?
high, that you've got the fan on high? So you put on auto, but you make sure that it's set to high.
Right. Okay.
Because there are 3 adjustments. You can have low, medium, high. Now that's not temperature, that's fan speed. It's automatic fan speed. So do check that.
Okay.
Because you might actually have it on low or medium.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And also I found when the car's, like, if you want to just have the automatic temperature, like, so this morning was maybe it might have been 21 degrees, and the heater comes on, and that's the last thing I want.
Yes. I get that all the time. So look, unfortunately, the car is interpreting that it's a little bit cooler than your set point, because don't forget, people's bodies, your perception of temperature changes with humidity and time of day and all that sort of stuff, and what temperature the interior of your house is and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, look, that's very normal. Unfortunately, the car's being a little bit too precise. It's literally saying, well, you said you wanted 21.5, and I'm going to give you 21.5, because if it's 20 in the car, it's going to obviously apply the heater. So what I do as a trick, you can either just turn the aircon off, and then once you're driving in daytime, it'll naturally warm up, and then everything will be sort of back to normal. Or just temporarily, just put your temperature down to 19.5 until that becomes until that feels cold, or whatever. And then you may end up on a journey of, say, 20 minutes. You might start at 19.5, go to 20, and then, I don't know, a few Ks further along, go to 20.5, and then you eventually go back to where you started. It's just the car being a little bit too, well, it's not too precise. It's doing what you asked of it.
Yes.
It's just that the result is, it's a bit weird to have the heater come on a summer, on an autumn morning.
Yes, yeah, that's right. So the ventilated seats the covers that you see on various adverts, like eBay or whatever, I'm pretty skeptical of those. I don't know. I don't know where they would plug in and that. I'm hoping they look like they're. I don't know. It's like every time the family gets in the car, it's like, oh, disappointment again, and that's the last thing I wanted with our flashy new car. So I'm just trying to think of different ways. But I'll try pre-chilling more and see if I can get a roof blind.
So Andy, do you have a Highland Model 3, or was it a Model Y?
No, it's a 2022 Model 3.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, so it doesn't have ventilated seats. So
no. So the covers, you can get. I've seen adverts for retrofits. Not replaced with seats, but there's some fat covers that have mini fans in somehow.
Oh wow, I reckon. Yeah, nah. I don't see how it would work. It would literally have to have a spacer with channels for the fans to pull the air from somewhere else, and that somewhere else is outside of the seat. So I'd call. I'd say you're not going to get value for money on that one, Andy.
No,
I really don't. But
I might send you a link of someone in the States was pretty happy with them. I thought apart from a long trip, they're a little bit lumpy. Generally, they thought they were reasonable.
All I can say is from
that's not what we're after.
Yeah, no, that's cool. All I can say is from personal experience, I've driven the car at above 45 degrees. And a couple of times I've had to try and turn the aircon down because I've been trying to stretch really, really long range and stuff. And I've just got plain white seats in the Model Y and just wear shorts all the time. And yeah, they're okay. They don't feel hot compared to everything else. So
yeah, we went with the black seats because we thought, I mean, that's the other thing, you killed that one. We thought the white seats would mark too easily, which of course they obviously haven't. So we've got the warmer seats.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, make no mistake, this seat is dirty. I mean, clearly it's dirty, but look, the proof in the pudding's going to be in a few weeks when I clean it. You know, and I guess if the video never comes out, perhaps I didn't get to clean it properly. But I'm expecting it will clean out and it'll be perfectly fine. And that's after what's 100,000 kilometers? That's after nearly 7 years of typical use for a normal person. So, you know, it's an extreme case.
All right.
Thanks,
guys.
Jeff's asked in the chat about roof shades for a Model Y. Has anyone got the link to that flash one Pete found, the retractable one, for him?
Anyone? I think maybe James might be looking. Actually, I don't think it was like a Tesla's or a Tessera's. I think it was somewhere else. And I don't know if Pete's in the room yet.
No, I can't see that link, but I've just put a photograph of mine. Save your money and just put your aircon on for 5 minutes more. I mean, there's a photograph from a 48-degree day, and my car, once you get the heat out of the seats, it is a lot different to putting the aircon on when you get in the car.
I just remember Pete sharing a few weeks, probably a couple of months ago, there's like a flash electric retractable one or something that he found.
Oh, sorry, James. I just didn't realise that the interior was 10 degrees.
Yeah.
Oh, man, that would have been luxurious.
Yeah. 39 degrees outside. And that's sitting in the full sun all day, no roof, no covers on it.
Look at
My
that.
problem, unfortunately, James, is unlike you, I have barely a hair on my head. So I do feel the warmth driving around, especially in our WA sun.
Fair
so,
enough.
yeah, just look for something to take the edge off a bit on that one as well.
Yep.
Well, something I saw that Peter Harris had, I don't know if Peter's in the room. I don't think he is. It's almost like a vinyl wrap that seems to just go over your glass roof, which looked quite interesting. I mean, it makes your car look a bit strange because it gives it it looks like it's got a metal roof, and it was in pearl white color to match his car. So that could also be something that might be interesting to some people that just don't want to see the sun through the roof.
Yeah, good to know. I'll do some hunting around because like the kids love being able to look through the roof and stuff. So I was thinking just more for the summertime and then take it down from autumn into spring when the sun's a bit less harsh.
Yeah, I mean, what I did, I don't know if I've got a photo I probably haven't got one really handy, but I went to Bunnings and got some. It's like a sisalation, but it's got foam. It's like a sandwich of about 5 millimeters of foam with aluminium foil either side. And it's a form of wall insulation or whatever, vapor barrier or something. And I just sort of cut a piece out that was sort of the shape of the glass roof. And, well, I sort of pulled some of the trim apart and then stuffed it in. And I actually used that for my last lap. And, yeah, I mean, look, to be honest, I found that very effective. The glass roof doesn't really get hot while you're driving because it really returns to the temperature of the airstream that's flowing over it. But there is zero doubt, and it's just physics, that the glass roof literally gets red hot when you're parked in the sun, just because the glass absorbs all the infrared and it just gets hot while you're parked. So that is
The
true.
second video, Harold, is a wrapped roof. So the second video starts at 11 minutes, where it shows you two Model Ys next to each other, one with a wrapped roof.
Me
So I
personally,
just
I use Cabin Protect and turn my aircon on 10 minutes before I go anywhere. I don't have an issue with heat on the roof and stuff myself. That's just me.
Oh, it's going to go slow.
Usually a caravan, Harold?
Sorry, say again?
You need a caravan on Wi-Fi? There you go.
No, it's actually my computer. It hasn't had a reset for quite a while, and it's
But you can see right there, that's stopped to the right screen. That's the wrapped roof.
yeah. Which, I mean, look, it's not at all awful. It's just a different look. It's literally just different. And yeah, to be honest, that's actually, I think that's a very viable solution, because I think that vinyl wrap would reject a lot of heat. And the thing is, yes, I did put this insulation under the glass roof, which all it would do when you're parked in the middle of summer is get the glass roof even hotter, because it's absorbing all the infrared and most of it's being reflected back into itself. So it actually gets hotter, and then I guess it will eventually equalize and reject heat to the outside environment mostly. But it does work when you're driving along, because it's a silver body which doesn't radiate much infrared. But there's no doubt that something like this, provided you don't find that look objectionable, and to be honest, I reckon it's perfectly okay, is a great solution. And I don't know how much it costs, but if you could sort of take it off and put it back on, so that in winter you appreciated the extra warmth or the view, yeah, I reckon it's a good thing, just personally. How much was it, James? Do you know? Do they indicate?
It was US price, and he got it for free.
Gotcha.
They were waiting for the proper pearl one that was just a plain white, not the actual Tesla pearl.
Yeah, you're right, because you can sort of see, I can't zoom in, but you can sort of see there is a color difference.
Yeah.
That's sort of more white than the car in this image. Oh, yes, Mark.
I've just found one. I've got a retractable shade that's a double layer. Do you know the old, it's like the hexagon shape thing, and you pull it from the back to the front manually, and it's a double layer. So it's like silvered. So it does reflect the heat, and it's a double layer with an air gap. And that works really well in mine. I've just found it. I think it's $199 American. It was on a Kickstarter I got a couple of years ago when I bought my Tesla, and it works brilliantly. And that one actually clicks in to the roof thing, and it looks really neat. Looks like a proper piece of kit for that sort of money. So what thought, oh, that'd be $300 Australian. And that does the front section. And then there's also one for the back section as well, if you want to. But what I did was I did a full ceramic tint, and that really keeps most of the heat out anyway.
Yep.
So that may help him out with that. I'll try and put the stuff in the comments in a minute.
Yeah, very good. Very good.
Appreciate that, Mark. Thanks, mate.
No problem.
Yeah, there's a lot of options, and don't let anyone say, oh, look, you're crazy if you want to put a shade or not, or whatever, because everyone's different. And, and let's face it, the glass roof, it just gets hot. That's just the truth. And, when in winter, it's actually an asset, and in summer, less so much. Not so much, should I say.
Harold, can you talk about your towing? Were you surprised by the kilowatt usage?
Yeah, so I'm just going to try and get rid of this. Let me just bring up my X post. So, look, I'm going to have hopefully a lot better data for the next week's program, because I'll have
your van was a very tall, boxy van with no real tail. So
Yeah, so what it was, I'm just trying to bring up a photo of it. Here we go. So
my background's a homage to you and your trips in your caravan, mate.
Ooh, that's interesting. Ooh, yeah, I like that. I do like that. I like what it's going through. Although I'm still getting PTSD from it. This is what I rented on Camplify, and it's a Winton 10, and I was interested in this one specifically because it's one of the smallest full-size caravans, full height caravans that's got an ensuite, so it's got a toilet and a shower, albeit the toilet is the shower, or should I say the shower recess. But it's 2.5 meters tall, and this thing towed like a block of flats. So I think from Perth to Lancelin, I got an efficiency of 335 watt hours per kilometre. That's not awful, but that was with a tailwind. And then later I went to Jurien Bay and got 352 watt hours per kilometre, which again is not awful. And in fact, you can see this is the image from Windy between Jurien Bay down to Lancelin, and it's almost like not quite a direct headwind. And that's of about 20. I don't know if Windy's in kilometres per hour or not. I just don't know. But even if you say 20 kilometres an hour, it's still a pretty good headwind. And I basically
It had KT against it in the legend at the bottom, Harold.
So did you say?
Very
Oh, it does
bottom
too.
left.
So it is knots. Yes. Okay. So it's actually quite substantial. Let's call it more than 30 k's an hour, probably a bit more. And punching into that headwind, arriving at Lancelin from Jurien Bay, I got a shocking 514 watt hours. And in fact, to be honest, what happened was I only had 108 kilometres to go to get to Lancelin from Jurien Bay, and I had put in 300 kilometres of range. And I thought, yeah, that's enough. I've got 65% battery or whatever it was. And I thought, yep, let's go. And I'd worked out I needed to use less than 485 watt hours per kilometre. And I thought, yeah, even with a bit of windage, it's not going to be that bad. And in the end, it was worse than that. So after going 20 kilometres south, I decided to do the right thing, and rather than slowing down to something ridiculously slow, I had to turn around. Another 20 kilometres back to Jurien Bay, and then spend 40 or 50 minutes topping up my car to beyond 90%. And in the end, when I got to Lancelin, I'd chewed 415 watt hours per kilometre. And to put that in another term, 514 watt hours per kilometre, I'd used 55.5 kilowatt hours, which is more than a standard range Model Y has in it, basically, just to travel 108 kilometres from Jurien Bay in a headwind. And that's not an unusual headwind. That's perfectly normal. So then in the end, when I left Lancelin and got home, I did 432 watt hours, but that's actually skewed because there was a lot of traffic on the freeway, and I actually deliberately started going a bit slower so I could make it a bit more comfortably. I basically worked out that at the moment, for a Model Y, this kind of caravan for road tripping is not fit for purpose. And it kind of pains me to say that, but the fact is most EVs and Teslas in particular, I sort of compare them to Greyhounds. They're super sleek, they're powerful, but they've got a small reserve, and that's because of the battery, right?
Have experienced being based.
Compared to ICE cars, which have got a fuel tank that's got gigajoules almost of energy in it. So when you tow a brick with a Greyhound, you're going to notice it. when you tow a brick with a brick, you don't notice it. So so what I've then gone on to do is actually buy. I went to. Let me just open PlugShare. I went to rent a caravan similar to Shane and Sarah's, and I went to Camplify, and it was called a Jayco Penguin, and it had a few advantages that I thought about. And in the end, I got a message back saying, "Oh, we can't rent it to you because we're using it." And I went, "Oh yeah, fair enough." And then I said, "Oh look, could I rent it for a couple of days? I don't want to use it. I don't want to sleep in it. I just want to try it out for my Model Y." And the gentleman responded back to me and said, "Oh, well, actually, as it happens, we have a Model Y and we've towed it to Denmark. And in fact, this is the image that they put up on PlugShare at Walpole."
Oh, look at that! There you go.
So this is a 2018 Jayco Penguin. It's classed. I call it a pop top, but it's classed as a camper trailer, but it's quite sort of civilized. And it's got that nice sleek sort of front. So I figured that if it was good enough for them to do it, then that would be good enough for me, and I'd just go and take the risk that one of those caravans will be good enough to go long distance road tripping. So that's what I've decided to do, and I'll be picking one up tomorrow at lunchtime and taking it for a whiz. But yeah, so James, so at the moment, if you were to carry a full size caravan behind a long range Model Y, anywhere except the southwest, south of Perth, you're going to be doing it hard. And yeah, at this stage, yeah, I wouldn't do it because you're not going to enjoy it.
No, we're looking for you, the same as you. We're looking for something that's not bigger than the car, not taller than the car, and not wider than the car.
Yes,
Yeah.
and that's a study I saw, and I don't have time to reference it, but we might flick it up another show. But there was an Australian study done, and what they basically concluded was the shape of the front of the caravan or its profile is much less important compared to the amount of height that pokes up above the tow vehicle.
Yeah.
So,
it's a square, basically, so that every extra square meter of space is 4 times as much drag. And I put a link into the couple that are doing the around Australia trip in the EV9. And as you say, tow a brick with a brick. But it's interesting, they've got such a long taper because aerodynamically it makes no difference. If you just have clean separation, a very small taper will actually do it.
Yes, and I'm just trying to get this up on a new tab. Look, I mean, that is a super interesting shape, and I mean, that's really going to stick out. So if you go around corners, you're going to be doing some pruning. But and I do wonder if caravans have a limit to their length, or whether that needs to be, registered with that extra length added to it. But that helps because it basically is an ideal taper so that your air flows and it rejoins back in the center.
But from designing race vehicles and all that, it's not that critical. You want good separation is more important than the longer taper doesn't actually really give you any more CF, any more less drag.
Yes, that's true. So I have heard you either do a really long tail like this, or you literally just cut it off clean, and the difference is not a lot.
Yeah.
But his difference here is I think he's going to put extra solar panels on this bit, which is a gain. That's a net gain. And
I think like Shane did, the undercarriage, you'd save a lot more by putting flat undercarriage on it. That would give you much more range on that back.
And in fact, I recommend anyone that owns a Tesla, say a Model 3 or a Model Y, literally lay on your back and go under your car and have a look. And even the rear suspension arm has like an armadillo plate that gives it a bit of aero effect when it's just cruising down the highway. So Tesla has been meticulous in keeping the bottom flat, and not just a battery pack, which is naturally flat, but even the front part of the car and the rear part is flat. And yeah, you say, James, that's for good reason.
But good on them. Good on them.
Yeah, I mean, they are going to embark, I think, very shortly on a 9-month tour on the EV9. And I think the article actually did say that, this is ideal because it's basically almost matched height-wise. In fact, if I was them, I'd try and lower the suspension just a little bit if they could, but maybe they can't. But look, to be honest, they're doing it for 9 months. I think they're going to be averaging about 50 kilometres of travel per day on average. Obviously, going to stop in places for a while. But yeah, it's great. They'll probably be the third caravan that gets around Australia, which would be awesome, And let's not forget that Shane and Sarah were the very first pioneers, not much more than a month ago, that achieved a 40-day transit around Australia for the first time ever in a standard range Model 3, which is one of Tesla's shortest range EVs that it ever built.
So it's interesting. It's coming is like, so my wife and I were discussing because I want to get the pod style bean thing, but she's adamant she doesn't want somewhere that's just the bed. You want somewhere to sit, be able to stand up, get changed, and sit down at a table. So it's we're looking probably erring towards a pop top. They're like the Penguin or the rigid pop tops. So it's a very simple push a button and you can stand up, move around, and you're not just climbing on the bed.
That's why we opted for the cruise liner.
Yeah.
Because it's same height as the Model Y.
Yeah.
It actually has reverse cycle aircon, which is nice as you go around the country. Yeah, and it's got a flat top, so it has hard. You can walk in it, you can cook in it. The bean, you have to go outside to do everything.
Yeah.
Yep. And without wanting to be an advertisement for Jayco or whatever, because it's completely not. And time will tell. Yeah, that just seems to be the Penguin's just a great package. There are smaller ones, but again, with caravans, and I got this information from Shane, a longer rectangle is better than a shorter one. So a longer body actually reduces the coefficient of drag as opposed to a shorter body of the same profile. So one good thing about the Penguin is you don't have the slide out beds. The double bed is inside the thing. The only thing that lifts up is the roof. You don't have anything protruding outwards. You don't have to. So as far as getting wet, you just crank up the roof and then just jump inside. You don't have to do other things. But hey, we'll find out. And no doubt it's going to go to Tassie, and see Chuck in Hobart, and it's going to do a lap or two before I'm done with it. And it'll have 3-phase power and batteries and, all that electronic engineering stuff. That's all good fun. So anyway, alrighty. Since we're getting towards the last, let's call it last 10 minutes of the show, any other questions or comments that anyone's got? Or any news that's come up that I might have missed out on?
Did you have an EV meet this weekend on Sunday?
Sorry, did we?
I believe. At Sacred Heart College on the 10th.
Sorry, yes. Pete, if you can please let us know. Yeah. Thank you, Alex. Yep. It was good of you to do Pete's job for him.
Thanks, Alex. Appreciate it.
Alex used to do the sign off.
It's on Sunday at Sacred Heart College. It's called Cars on the Coast. It was originally scheduled for last year, but inclement weather precluded that event taking place. So it's been rescheduled to this Sunday between 9 and 12 for the public. It's Sacred Heart College is kind of opposite Hillary's Boat Harbour or Sorrento Quay, just south of there. It's pretty much right across West Coast Highway, right across from the Sorrento Surf Lifesaving Club. So it's this Sunday between 9 and 12 a.m., 9 and 12 noon.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks, Pete. And is it cost any entry costs or anything?
free entry is just a fundraiser for the school, I think. So
Yep.
Yeah, free entry, and there'll be I think the UWA are going to have their EV racing formula car there. I think Curtin Uni might have some cars there, and some of the other car clubs, as per usual, are going to be there. So it should be good.
And I believe Shane and Sarah's model, or Shane's Model 3, and Shane and Sarah's Caravan will be there as well.
Absolutely. And yeah, hopefully Richard Chapman's going to bring his Model X down. So we'll have some gold wing doors to show off. We've got a couple of Model S's and plenty of 3s and Ys, but I'm still looking for a Highland. So if anyone's got a Highland and they're keen to show it off, please feel free to give me a call or get in touch with me, or I'll call Harold, and Harold's got my contact details.
Yeah, so you can just call on 62623131. That's the easiest way.
Yep.
And I can then pass your contact details on to Pete. Cool. Thanks, Pete. Any other last bits? Oh, I think we covered the fact that the lawyers involved in the what do you put it? Putting down of Elon Musk's $56 billion what was it called, Pete? The performance package.
Yeah.
I can't remember if we covered it this week, last week, sorry, but they want a mere 29 million Tesla shares, which represents a value in US dollars of approximately $6 billion of shareholder equity for dismantling Elon Musk's CEO Performance Award, which in the court case, they managed to convince the judge to declare that amount of money as being specifically well over any prior compensation that a CEO's ever had in human history, and well beyond what any person would think of as being reasonable. And yet the lawyers who assisted the shareholder who owned 6 Tesla shares, or was it 9, one or the other, to win this case, they had to concede that $6 billion and an hourly rate equivalent to $288,888 per hour was a reasonable compensation for the successful law firm that was involved in the case. So
is this the absolute? This is, if you look up hypocrisy in the dictionary, they should just have this as an example.
It's spectacular.
Can I just get this right in my head? So the shareholders voted for something, and then there was a judge that decided that wasn't right, and now the shareholders have to suffer for it.
Yes.
Over 70% of the shareholders.
I'm not quite sure. Isn't this exactly what an appeal is for? To get like another opinion?
Without besmirching any, there's a saying, God bless America, and it's amazing what the legal system can tout out as a fact or as a thing.
Just remember, it's a legal system, not a justice system.
That's precisely true, James.
Very wise.
And apologies to any lawyers out there. I don't hate you specifically. I just despise some of your colleagues. It's just mind-blowing. And that's probably the best way to put it, isn't it? And let's just hope that one way or another, this all gets redressed and made right. And that courts actually pay attention to what 70% of the shareholders freely voted for. There was no gun to their head. They literally were just offered a deal. And the deal was, this is how simple the deal is. Tell you what, if I can 10-bag your shares that you own today within the next 10 years, all I want is a 10% bonus.
And
if
once I get the bonus, I can't even cash it in for 5 years.
Yes, and
I just don't understand how you can legally retrospectively void a contract or an agreement. I just don't understand the legal premise. Well, maybe
because the
that's
court
not
can because the court actually the judge decided that the directors were by definition not impartial, and that somehow in their disclosure documents they didn't disclose that they were not impartial, and they somehow didn't warn the shareholders that there might have been a cheaper deal that could have been done for, again, what at the time was an outlandish deal. It was outlandishly good. It was, if I achieve the impossible, all I want is 10% cut. That's it.
But surely at that point, that is the time to then challenge it, not some.
It was achieved. Yep.
I just don't understand how that works.
But no one challenged it back then because everyone thought this is just so outlandish.
No, I don't understand the legal basis to challenge it.
The basis was that they could have said, for a 10 bag we'll give you 1%, because that's still billions upon billions, and how many billions do you need? And I think they were trying to say, oh well, Tesla was going to do that anyway. It was always going to 10 bag because that's what Tesla does. But that's easy to say with the benefit of hindsight since it happened. And they claim that somehow, oh well, if Elon Musk just left Tesla and Tesla just did its own thing with a ordinary CEO, that they could have 10 bagged themselves. But
well, if Tesla was left to its own devices with an ordinary CEO, it would be just like any other ordinary EV startup, be it Lucid, be it Rivian, be it Fisker, be it.
Exactly what I was thinking.
I'm just surprised at the precedent that it sets, that any shareholder vote on anything could in future just be torn up in future if there's enough.
It's basically saying that that shareholders are stupid and they actually don't realise that Tesla's brother being on the board might be linked to actually Elon Musk. Actually, it's related to him. When it's stupid, we didn't actually realise that.
No, Mark. No. Mark. Musk is the South African version of Smith, and everyone's called Smith. So you know.
I just like the legal precedent that it sets, that it's just like, well, at any time in the future, any CEO compensation plan could just be torn up if you're too successful.
Yes.
I don't understand how you can allow that as a legal precedent in any structure of any governance.
Stand fast illegal activities, of course, Richard.
Yeah. No, that's okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's mind blowing. It really is. We're getting a little bit short on time, so we might not we might not extend it more. But although I'd love to talk about it a lot more, but it's specifically outrageous. There will probably be an appeal. Let's all hope that the appeal unwinds this and undoes it all, this stupidity. Otherwise, the only other thing that Tesla can do potentially is, after it moves, if it's allowed to, and hopefully it is, to Texas as its place of incorporation, that then there could be another disclosure and another vote at a general meeting or a special general meeting that then determines retrospectively to give Elon Musk the 290 million shares, the roughly $56 billion worth of share options, and that be patched up, and there'd also be an opportunity to introduce a new outlandish CEO compensation thing. And I'll tell you now, if they offer a 10 bag for 10%, I'll take it, and I'll vote for it.
Every day.
Let's just hope we don't have to pay that lawyer $6 billion.
It would be tremendously outrageous, and it would be a travesty. Anyway, we're getting really short on time. So, any very last drinks not on this subject, and then we'll go to the outro. Any last bits, anyone?
No, just thanks, Harold.
No worries, Mark. That's all good. It's all good fun. Alrighty. So, Pete, just in case I didn't know already, and in fact, I did have to do it last week, and I did get a belated note from for the headmaster saying that like little Pete was unable to attend class today, but that's okay. Pete, how would you round out an awesome show like this?
As always, stay safe, stay sustainable. Don't forget to set your alarm so you don't ask us anything, and stay ahead of the curve.
And the best way to do that is actually set 2 alarms. Buy a Tesla, join TOCWA, and ask us anything about accelerating the world's transition to sustainable energy. Really look forward to seeing you all again on next week's episode of Ask Us Anything. The week after, we'll probably have a casual meetup, but I'll further elaborate on that next week. So in the meantime, have a wonderful week. And like I said, look forward to seeing you next week. Good night, everyone.
That's you guys.
Yeah. See how